Since the fall of man, a war has raged between good and evil. Over the centuries, this war has distorted the truth. Now the truth is perceived as lies, and lies acknowledged as truth. To this day, the battle continues as we investigate and debate the truth behind the history and mystery of the universe. We are Paratruth Radio. Not every home is warm and inviting. In fact, some homes are just cold and haunted. Now Paratruth presents The Haunted House Diaries with special guest Bill Hall. What's up, folks? My name is Eric.
And I'm Justin.
And you are listening to Paratruth Radio. Justin, what's going on, dude? I can see it's going well.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we live in our dream.
Everything is awesome.
You suck. The last time I heard that stupid song, it was stuck in my head for 2 months.
It's better than this one. Hang on.
Oh, no.
Where is it?
Narwhals swimming in the ocean, causing a commotion, because they are so awesome.
Actually, I kind of enjoy that one more. Believe it or not.
Well, we have some exciting stuff going on this week. I'm excited.
Yeah?
Well, just because today we have Bill Hall.
Indeed. Is that the only reason?
Well, and we have another S-Files coming up.
That's true. See, that I already forgot about that one. You said interesting stuff, so I was like, wait a second. If Bill Hall's the only reason, that's not really stuff. It's just, it's one thing. Well, anyway, folks, we do have a brand new episode of Paratruth Radio here for you, and we have a very special guest. He's been on once before, and he's here with us again. His name is Bill Hall, and he is the author of the new book, The Haunted House Diaries. So without further ado, let's go to the line with Bill Hall.
Now, Eric's random fact of the day.
Have you ever seen an insect, or a plant, or perhaps even a weed of some sort, and questioned what it was? Well, according to FactSlides.com, Michigan State University will identify any insect, arthropod, plant, or weed for free if you send a picture of the specimen via email.
This was Eric's random fact of the day.
All right, folks, welcome back to Paratruth Radio. My name's Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And we've been talking to Bill Hall about his most recent book, The Haunted House Diaries. Now, Bill, before we went to break, we were talking about the little boy's supposed imaginary friend, and his name was Ashwa, correct?
Ashwar.
Ashwar.
And as I say, invisible but not imaginary.
Right. So this thing came, or you said it wasn't in the tree, it was standing in front of the tree. It turned into this mist, but it almost looks like a tadpole, and then into a serpent, and then into this mist.
Well, I compare it to look like a tadpole / serpent. You know, most people say serpent that have seen it, but you know,
So,
I thought a tadpole / serpent, but same kind of,
right.
You know,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, same kind of look to it. It's
so, and you had said that you talked to somebody who had filmed these things before. What was his take on what they are? Did he think they were extraterrestrial, some type of spiritual being?
Yeah, he thought they were. His theory is that they're aliens, and that he's observed what he believes are even spacesuits over time, and there's orbs that appear, which he believes are some sort of energy source. So he's got his theories, but of course, like he says, we don't know what they are. He said, but I've been watching them. I think he watched them for like 2 years or something. He was, filming this stuff, and he's described things that look like helmets and and that kind of thing. And who knows? He could be misinterpreting or could be right on. But his best guess is aliens. But who knows, right? Of course, doesn't look like any typical alien that I know from the literature, but
right.
That's why I just call it, entity, for lack of a better word, unless it's an obvious gray or something like that. But they were about, 3 feet high or so. So, the size was kind of right, but who knows, right? They're
right.
And it's Paul Paulino, of course, and I talk about in the book about context. We're all guilty of this. It's very hard to not try to make sense of things, look for connections, put them in ways that fit with our beliefs, or not even our beliefs, but just, we have to try to interpret it somehow. And we tend to think of things inside as more spirits, right? If you see something inside, it's a spirit. If you see it outside, it's UFO. It's just kind of a natural way to think about it. But there's things that have happened at this house, for example, that are more indicative of would be UFO phenomena, but they're inside the house, so the family would just interpret them as just another paranormal thing happening. And same thing outside. Outside something happens. Even if it's not like a UFO that you see in the sky,
right.
But if it's something that happens outside, people tend to associate it more with UFOs than paranormal. Just the interesting observation of how we look at things, in context,
yeah.
or try to make sense of things and find connections, and it's natural. And and we all do it. I just think it's interesting to try to list as many possibilities as you can, because it might be what appears to be the most common and logical connection, or it could be something, of course, completely different. So,
or none of the above.
Right, or none of the above, exactly. Or none of anything you can figure out.
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, now, one of the things that's really interesting that I've come across in my research is the numerous reports that people, make that, I guess they claim that this paranormal and UFO type stuff happens at the same time. If they see UFOs in the sky, there's also, on occasion, and sometimes very often, paranormal activity going on at the same time. So is there a possibility then that these two are linked in some way, and perhaps it's even both spiritual entities as opposed to a physical alien like most people, or like the way Hollywood depicts extraterrestrial life?
Exactly. I think, the best theory still that I think is out there, and there might be other theories that are also true, again, to our points before, it could be multiples or it could be none of them, but quantum physics with multiple universes, and if this is a window open and all sorts of things come through it, then maybe that's why Bigfoot is good at hide and seek, and maybe maybe that's why UFOs could come and go so easily if they've learned to travel this way. It doesn't mean they're friends with Bigfoot, or it doesn't mean that poltergeists that come through are of the same ilk as the others, but if they're all associated with these parallel world intersects and that kind of thing, then when you have a flap like this, or a paranormal circus, as Paul calls it, or a paranormal crossroads, as the cooler name, I think, but as you look at those things, we used to think of all these things as separate. Let's not talk. Us UFO people are smart. Let's not talk to the ghost people. They're a little weird. And then the ghost people are like, the UFO people. Okay, let's none of us talk to the Bigfoot people. But now it's and it's not like brand new. Obviously, we've been coming this way for quite a while. that we're seeing that, hey, this is all, we can't have this in silos anymore. It is all connected. I think one of the UFO conferences I went to, I think last year, I think it was, if I remember right, it was in the 80%, something like 83% of time where there's, UFO sightings and stuff. There's also these, haunted houses going on. And, so, we're seeing the connection of this energy and how, or these portals or doors or windows or whatever you want to call them, and how it's impacting. But, and Paul brings up a good point. He said even back, in Lindley Street, he said, we didn't even think of going to see if other houses were impacted. When I did the book, I found at least 3 other houses that were also impacted at the same time, not in the same way by the same entities, but, that they were experiencing, phenomena too, because once a door is open, multiple things can go through, could affect multiple houses, etc. And the other thing that they didn't think of at the time was to see, is there UFO activity? So now when you're hearing something like that at a UFO conference where they're saying you see UFOs, now you're also look at haunted house activity. That's at least an advancement. It's so hard to make any advancements in this stuff. You know what I mean? I was reading about UFOs in the 80s, and I don't think we know much more now than we did then. So it's frustrating,
Yeah.
But I think this multiverse and quantum physics and kind of the pan-paranormal or the commonality between the way the paranormal works or travels or whatever is one of the bigger and better theories that have come around. Still theory, and as Mark says, still highly speculative, Mark D'Antonio. But as an astrophysicist, he said, 5 years ago when he first was talking about when he had his experiences and he was asking physicist friends, they were 50-50 on whether this multiple universe thing was a bunch of crap or not. And he said now in the last 2 years, he said it's probably like 95.5 or, 97.3. Most of them are saying, yeah, it is. There is. Now, what it means and how it works and how it's experienced and all the other stuff is, of course, there's multiple theories, but it's almost in their minds, a fact that there's multiple universes. But we've always been very bad at looking beyond our own horizon. First there was only 8 planets or 9 planets, and there was 8. Now, and then I think Pluto's voted back in, and then there's only one galaxy, right? But no, now there's multiple galaxies. Oh, but there's only one universe, and now we're at the stage. Well, wait, there's multiple universes. So, our world's getting bigger, and our we're getting a little bit better at it. We're like, oh, there's not 9 planets. We're a little off. There's actually billions. So it's like, just a little off. It's just rounding. We're just rounding it up, or down. But so I think it's exciting. I wonder what we'll find out as the years come. Obviously, there'll still be tons of mysteries as always, but it will be fascinating as we get closer, because this, just in the last few years, the advancements in quantum physics and the experiments that have been done with the technology that wasn't available when these theories were first coming forth is very exciting.
I think a lot of the different theories and research that's been going on over the years is definitely bringing us closer. As you said, there's always going to be questions, regardless of how close we actually get. But the one picture in the book that kind of fascinated me, that's kind of on this line, is the picture of the yellow entity, and you call it a parallel intersect with an alien coming through. What was actually going on during that picture being taken?
Paul just took the picture. It was just taken without, there wasn't fanfare or flash or stuff like that going on. It was, it was just, and it was very weird. We tried to reproduce it. It's a very strange, and I still always, and that's why I worded to say, is this like something really crazy that went wrong that none of us can figure out? Not me speaking about, Mark, because, me, I don't know anything about camera optics or whatever,
right.
And nor would I pretend to. So it's fascinating, but it actually, we're looking at this picture for quite a long time, and Paul's been looking at it for years, and it was a listener of a radio show that actually said, hey, how come you guys haven't been talking about the alien that's in the photo? It's like, what?
Right.
And and once you see it, and again, you always say, well, is this wishful thinking? But, then I talked to Donna and I said, well, what is there? And, and Paul's remembering what's there, but Donna knows what's there. No, there's nothing on the, answering all the questions. No, there's nothing. There was nothing on here. There was nothing here. No, it couldn't have been that, and she's been great too, because, Paul's taken some pictures where, he says, what is this thing in the picture here? And Donna will say, oh, well, no, that's the oil tank over there. So, I mean, she never pushed any, she's an extremely honest person, wonderful lady. She's taken her own pictures and she said, yeah, I don't know what these are, and we looked and reviewed them all and, and some were the normal kind of optical stuff that gets through. But she's also seen orbs, with her own eyes and kind of, outside the camera world. So, yeah. But, the only things we wanted to put in the book were things that we were confident at least that nobody can explain, that at least a photo video expert would have a problem with.
Right, scratch their head and say, I can't explain that.
Right, they may say, well, I don't believe in the paranormal, but, whatever, but,
right, yeah,
can't explain it, so, and, that's, I think, the best we can hope for when we're trying to screen these things.
Right.
Yeah. It's actually, I've been looking at that photo, and I'm actually looking at it right now too. It's one that actually interests me a lot because it's definitely different. It's weird. And one thing that I've also noticed is the door that has the windows on it. The second row of the windows, the very first one, there actually appears to be an orb-like thing or a reflection of some sort that also has the image of a face in it. And it's actually it's not humanoid type face. It's something else. It almost reminds me of what is it? Jack the Skeleton King, the Pumpkin King from
talking about. Yeah,
that's what it kind of looks like.
One of my favorite characters, by the way. Yeah, I actually didn't notice that. Very good catch there.
Now I'm going to have to enlarge this. Back to the drawing board.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's good. That's what it's all about.
Well, and it's interesting because both him and I have done this for years now, so we catch things where some people will not. Where is there a question in that there, Eric?
No, not in that particular statement that I made. No, but I do have a question. Now there is another story in the book about Donna and about her waking up. I believe it's 12:42 or something like that, due to some kind of phenomena going on. And it is very interesting that the 1242 also mimics the house number that she lived in as well. But when you say phenomena that she woke up to, what type of phenomena are we talking exactly?
I believe it was sprinkled throughout the book, so it wasn't like a repetitive thing.
Right.
And, there always is the question, and I think Shane brought this up in the discussion in the book, is it like 9/11 where, you see it everywhere because, you know what it is. Mm-hmm. She says no, and other family members, say no. Of course, he also says it, that sometimes entities or ancestors or whatever they happen to be, do try to make themselves known by, calling your attention in some of those kinds of ways, just like they did with, her jewelry and and stuff like that, which was like an ongoing, weirdness to it. So it is an interesting phenomena, and one of the bizarre ones, which I'd like to read this entry for listeners. One of the bizarre ones for me that caught me was the notes being left. I don't know if you remember that entry, but it was in. You mind if I read it? We got time, or we need a break now? Okay.
Yeah, go for
it. Spring of 1979 is when it happened. Last week, Mom opened her mailbox by the front door. There was a note in it from two old friends. It said, "Sorry we missed you, Betty and Fred. The only people she knows by that name are Betty and Fred Wilcox. She hadn't seen them in nearly 30 years, and she said she'd have to locate their number and call them. She was clearly upset she had missed them. The writing on the note was in pencil and very shaky. The pencil had been pressed down really hard onto the paper. When she called them, they were very surprised to hear from her. They hadn't stopped by, and they didn't leave a note. In fact, they had not been in the area for years. Today she got a note from Ruby and Garnett. It was almost the same writing, sort of shaky and pressed deeply into the paper. She had not seen them in many years and commented that she would call them and have them over for lunch. That afternoon they appeared at the door. Mom welcomed them in and told them that she had gotten their note and was sorry she had missed them. They looked at each other, clearly puzzled, and then looked at her and told her that they had not left the note. They hadn't stopped by, in fact. They had just decided to do so a few minutes before. They no longer live in the area, and it was an unplanned stop as they were just passing through.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, and then and then there's the bizarre kind of, and this I guess leads to, kind of it sounds bizarre, but aliens covering up missing time kind of experience, which was the Phantom road accident where the cars were like, older police and the fire engines weren't the right color, and the police officer's uniform wasn't quite right, and the couple noticed it, and of course, they had to literally go out of their way to get the police officer to respond to them. Now, you drive up to an accident scene and they're they're yelling at you. Yeah. Go back. You can't be, they don't want to deal with it. And they drove right up there and nobody's giving them any direction. The policeman's just standing there. And, finally, the guy tells them to, turn around and stuff. But it was just that whole scene was bizarre. And, Mark having, the missing time experience. But that's the first thing Mark said when he heard, about that story with the Phantom Road accident. He says, there's lots in the literature about aliens and the potential to try to either cover missing time or, cover something up and trying to mimic something. And, of course, we've seen this on TV, right? In, some of the movies where the aliens try to mimic something, they don't get it quite right, and it's a little funny or something,
Right, yeah.
Right. Like in the Critters, where the 1980s, horror film, and the aliens take on human appearance, and they happen to turn on MTV or something, so they come back looking like rock stars, So it's, but it's that kind of thing, and it's just a really weird, and then they come back 10 minutes, the whole thing's gone, and it's just a really bizarre thing. But those are the kinds of things that happen up there, and this house is just like a breeding ground or thoroughfare, or and it's funny because when I said I felt like there was like 100 people there, and that was like right in the basement at a stone wall and or a brick wall there, and I asked Donna if she felt anything, and she said no, I never felt anything. I don't feel anything. And she said, but it's funny you said that because Paul and Ben were, when they were here, they said the same thing you did. That was bizarre to me. I said, they said, yeah, they felt like there's tons of people there. And I was like, wow. And, I know it was real if I felt it, because like I said, I don't feel anything. So, right. for me, when I have an experience, I know it's,
Right, yeah.
People are like, you sure you didn't wish it? It's like, no, man, I've been wishing it for years. Trust me, nothing happened. I have to earn it. Come on, Right. But I know. It's funny that, of course, you guys know, but it's funny when people say, you sure you didn't imagine stuff,
Yeah.
Right. It's just not that easy to cause, mass hallucination as everybody thinks it is. I mean, being a magician, God, I wish it was that easy. It's just not that easy, Mass hallucination is very difficult. But so it's it's really neat. In fact, we want to get back there again and do more filming and get more audio and stuff, because you always get stuff when you go there. So it's just always a real fun visit, and you don't have to break in anywhere to go there, so you don't have to worry about your car. See,
Right.
All right, Parafans, we're going to take our second and final break of the night and tune into Justin's paranormal headlines, so stay tuned.
And now, Paratruth Radio's Paranormal Headlines.
Hey, Parafans. Justin here with your paranormal headlines. Breaking news about a real fallen angel in London is false. The fallen angel is actually a sculpture done by two artists from Beijing, China, named Sun Yan and Peng Yu. They are famous for creating their installation arts, but their new creation is that of a fallen angel. They created a sculpture of a fallen angel in the image of an old woman who has her wings, yet the feathers were missing. The artists created this amazing structure from fiberglass, stainless steel, silica gel, and woven mesh. This incredible structure gained praise and criticism from the people who have seen it. Controversial talks and debates arise from this sculpture. Human woman turns up in Mars rover image. Eagle-eyed anomaly hunters have spotted something that looks like a human figure on the surface of Mars. It was only last week that a photograph emerged online showing what looked like a large crab hanging out in a crevice on Mars, an anomaly that has since been attributed to pareidolia, the tendency for the brain to perceive meaningful shapes in otherwise abstract patterns. Just as interest in the crab started to die down, however, another anomalous object began to make headlines. This time, a humanoid figure that looks uncannily like a human woman. Unfortunately for those hoping that the photograph represents evidence of a civilization on Mars, however, the scale of the picture is such that the woman is only around 10 centimeters tall. Given the sheer number of high-resolution images being returned by the Curiosity rover on a regular basis, though, it is likely that this won't be the last time something unusual turns up. And this has been Justin with your paranormal headlines.
This was a segment of Paratruth Radio's Paranormal Headlines.
Hey, Parafans, welcome back to Paratruth Radio. My name is Eric,
I'm Justin.
and we are speaking with Bill Hall on his new book, The Haunted House Diaries. Now, Bill, we are coming up to the very end of the show here, unfortunately. And before we let you go, though, we do want to give you a chance to tell people where they can find you, where they can find your book, and, of course, any other type of information you'd like to share.
Oh, yeah, it's really easy because everything's at one place, which is William J. Hall, Hall, author.com. From there, you could get a signed copy of my book directly from me if you'd like. And it's got, of course, access to some free stuff and Facebook and, you know, all the other things you need to know. So everything's right there. And it even has a calendar of events, you know, where I'll be appearing, as well as interviews and other shows. Probably not as good as Paratruth, of course, but
Of course. Well,
not,
I mean,
I'm biased at this particular moment.
if
but,
we weren't very good, you wouldn't have wanted to come back. So,
well, obviously, unless they know me, then nobody's going to buy that. No. You also get my book anywhere that great books as well as lousy books are sold. Hopefully, mine's in the other category, of, at least in the middle aisle. But yeah, I think they'll enjoy it. I like the variety of it personally because of being able to do, you know, part one is a diary, part two is like the other phenomena around there, and then part three is kind of the investigation and theory and philosophy. So I like the mix of it.
yeah, I did too, yeah. Especially since you started with their diary, the diary entries, and you kind of get a feel for what was going on at the farmhouse at the time.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what was really cool is, you know, when I first met Donna, because she had given me a binder where they were all typed out stuff, but she said, "Oh, Mr. Hall, so you know this is real." So she brought out this box, and it just had a pile of these papers, and there's a picture of some of them, in the book. But I mean, it's just a giant pile of papers, envelopes, manila papers, yellow papers, white paper, all different inks and what, and it was just all the entries that she wrote on miscellaneous pieces of paper for over the 50 years. It's just, that to me was fascinating to see. I was like, oh, okay,
Right.
And of course, I knew it was real because it was a nice case to get into because, I mean, there was a lot of that stuff already done for me. So, if Paul passes me and says, here's a great thing for you, well, I mean, he's been doing that since 2005 there. So it was nice and easy. I didn't have to go in and do all the preliminary stuff. I already knew it was a solid case. But even if I had my doubts, which I didn't because I trust him, but just seeing the box of those things, you're like, nobody writes 50 years worth of, either she's out of her mind or, or this is real. And it turns out it's probably both. But I'm out of my mind too, so I really do like her. So.
All right. Well, Bill, thanks so much for coming on again. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And whenever you have a new book, we'd be more than happy to have you on again.
Oh, great.
So,
love to come.
All right, sir. You have yourself a good night, and we will talk to you again soon.
All right, you too. And thank to you guys, and thank you to all the listeners.
All right. Have a good night.
All right.
Good night.
All right, folks. That was Bill Hall, author of The Haunted House Diaries. If you haven't heard our episode with Bill from before, definitely check that one out about the world's most haunted house. And then this one too, it was definitely a lot of activity in the house, and he documents it all down there. So definitely a very good and interesting read for you guys.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of interesting stuff in this book, and some of these photos in particular, and Justin, I was talking to Bill during that last break there. I actually imported that alien photo into my photo editor, and I ended up changing the definition, the exposure, saturation, and shadows and highlights quite a bit to really help define this face that I was talking about in the window. And I actually just sent it to the Paratruth email, so you should check it out yourself as well before I send it off to Bill. It is definitely interesting. I'd love to get your input on that before I push it through.
And actually, like I said, very good catch, because I honestly didn't see the face before you had mentioned it. So
yeah, it's weird. It's almost like, I guess in one sense it could seem alienish, but to be honest, it almost seems like what's that movie that's coming out now? It's Sinister. The first, obviously there's a new movie coming out because the first one's already out.
Yeah.
But it actually looks a lot like that demon god thing that they have in there.
Yeah.
In that movie, it's almost pretty creepy. But regardless, anyway, we are coming up to the end of the show. Now, I know we have quite a couple things, at least, not quite a few, but a couple of things we'd like to share with our listeners, if I'm not mistaken. You got a couple of things, right, Justin?
Yep.
All right.
Few things really fast. On Friday, we will be having our next S-Files, and it's going to be actually based on Paratruth Radio Episode 1. I mistakenly thought we could not get it because there was a bunch of errors going on when I tried to get it. So we're going to actually split that into a two-parter, because for some reason we were wanting to do a 2-hour episode when we first started. So we're going to do a two-parter of Night Stalkers Episode 1. Coming up in the next couple of weeks, Paratruth will be at Scarefest. I am looking forward to that. A lot of great people going to be there from both paranormal and horror, as well as guest speakers. And I think you guys are going to be really interested as well, especially if you are one of our non-Christian listeners. If you are Christian listeners and you still, you're into the horror movies, you're into the paranormal shows, definitely check us out. If you are uncomfortable with those things, I do not encourage you guys to come. There are a lot of things there that you guys are not going to agree with, and it's definitely not something that you want to put yourself into if you're uncomfortable with either the paranormal or the horror.
Right.
But we will be there. So if you are going to be there, definitely check us out. We'll be wearing our Paratruth Radio T-shirts, and we will be doing a live episode as we're walking around, actually Friday night, so you won't hear us on our usual Sunday. It'll be on a Friday the 11th that we get there, and they do their opening shindig stuff. So
right. Of course, you can always listen to the recording afterwards on Sunday if you prefer. But hey,
right. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be exciting. Haven't been to Scarefest in 6 years. So
2009 was the last one.
Yeah, so gonna be an awesome time. So if you guys, like I said, if you're there, come find us. We'd love to meet you. We love hearing from our listeners, and it would be even more awesome to meet some of our listeners as well.
Absolutely. Definitely. Also, on another note, I do want to give a shout out to Brittany Kane of Los Angeles. She donated $100 to the Indiegogo fundraising campaign for The Revealed. So I definitely want to thank her. It's awesome. Not everyone can afford to give $100. I'm not even sure she can, but she willingly did. She's supporting The Revealed. With that $100, she's really helping us push forward and make this movie all that it's capable of being. So again, thank you, Brittany, for doing that for us. For those of you listening, if you're interested in knowing more about my movie, The Revealed, we have currently collected around $1,300 or so. I am trying to collect quite a bit more here. I hate using the word collect. I'm trying to raise a little bit more here. Collect's bad. No, I'm not using this money for any personal reason whatsoever other than to make this film. And this film is, it's helping a group of us create something that I believe is truly going to be beautiful and just very educational in a sense, especially when it comes to the paranormal community. So if you're interested in supporting us, check it out. You can go to the Paratruth Radio website at paratruthradio.com, click on the Creative Works tab, and then, of course, scroll to the bottom of the page. You'll see the synopsis of The Revealed, as well as a link to The Revealed's Indiegogo campaign. And just so everyone knows, because this is an issue that we've had in the past here, if you're interested in collecting any of the perks, and now the perks can be anything from a shout-out on the Revealed social media to collecting a signed copy of the script, a signed copy of the movie, and even having your name credited as an executive producer of the film, you're going to have to go to the bottom of the Indiegogo page and click on collect, or not collect. You have to click on choose perk, and when you do that, it'll let you choose which one you want, and then take you from there to getting your information to pay, and of course the shipping address and everything like that. And shipping is free for any of the perks, so you don't have to worry about that. It is a one-time donation, whatever you put in, and I will receive the money for this film. So definitely would love your help. It'd be wonderful and much appreciated. And on that note, I think we are done for the day, right?
Actually, I did want to tell everybody really fast. Eric was on Deception Detection Radio about an hour ago. If you guys missed it, go check it out. He got interviewed about the movie by Kay Carswell from Deception Detection Radio. So definitely check that out as well.
Yeah, that's an awesome interview. We talk about, obviously, my film, but we talk about other films as well, a little bit here and there, and just basically what the film genres of today are doing and why they're doing what they're doing. So it's definitely a fun conversation, a little different from the normal interviews that both her and Justin and I perform on a normal basis. So you'll definitely want to check that out. I think it was awesome. It was a lot of fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yep, and then next week we will be doing The Revealed on Paratruth as well, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's only like 3 weeks after that I'll be out for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
Literally creating the film. So got a busy schedule ahead of us.
Yep.
But we are done today. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Good luck on the upcoming work week. Stay focused. Keep everybody, all your friends and family in your prayers, as we will do for you as well. And don't get too stressed out. I know I get stressed out a lot when it comes to work and school. And Justin, I know he gets stressed out when he's not near the radio show. Yeah. So anyway, we'll check you all next week. Same time, same place. My name is Eric.
I'm Justin.
Peace. If you enjoyed this episode of Paratruth Radio and you would like to listen to it again, or are interested in listening to any of our past episodes, then you can listen to them on HD at our website, paratruthradio.com.
And you can also find us at Stitcher, Blueberry, TuneIn, iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube.
And of course, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for brand new updates of our show every day.